Okay, this one's on belts, specifically V-drive belts, usually used in HVAC equipment, either commercial, industrial, or residential. The V-belt is a fairly simple device. It's fabric on the outside, and I'll give you a close-up of that. This one here has fabric all around it. It's a little hard to tell, but it's kind of encased in fabric. Okay, here we have a little short section of belt, and I just want to kind of point out a few things about it. You can see that's the back of the belt, and you can see that there is a fabric there, and that's what gives the belt its tensile strength. It also is, it's the primary part of the belt that pulls power, because these are power transmitting devices. So you can see a side view of the fabric. This one has fabric on the bottom also, which is in the inside of the V. Got fabric down there too. And this belt flexes. As this belt rotates, it's going to go around pulleys like that. And then it's going to flatten out when it goes over to the other pulley, and then it does it again. So each time the belt rotates around, it flexes in and flexes out, flexes in and flexes out. You would think they would not last very long. And sometimes that's true, but that's usually because of poor installation. My father, who was in this industry for many years, actually had a belt-driven ice machine at an industrial plant he worked at, that the belts lasted 18 years. They were perfectly aligned, kept tensioned. They only replaced the belts because the spare belts they had in the storeroom were deteriorating in the storeroom. So a belt can last a long time. Now, I don't want you to get too rambunctious here. That was also a 500 RPM motor, and it was turning a ice machine compressor at about 200 RPM, so that lower RPM contributed to the life of the belt. But belts that we use in this industry, if they're set up right, as I told you in the last video, 1 to 4 years depending on conditions. I have seen them go longer, and in residential I've seen them go much longer. So okay, so let's talk about the different types of belts. Okay, here is a belt. Okay, if you can see, this is OptiBelt and so on. 4L460. Okay, 4L means 4/1/8 of an inch. So that means it's a 1/2 inch wide at the very top, at the top part here. It is 46 inches long. That's what the 46 is. This is also, because it says it's a 4L460, that means it is a fractional horsepower belt. This would be used as a residential 1/2, 3/4 horse, whatever machine. So you could not use this in a well, you couldn't use it in an automobile for one thing, and you could not use it on commercial over 1 horse. But this is your standard little cheapy belt that you would use for a residential or maybe a very light commercial application. Let's see. This one here. See, now that says A66. So that is a 66-inch A belt. Now the A belt is about the same top diameter here as the 4L, and it's a little bit wider. I can't remember exactly. It's a 1/16 of an inch wider or some silly thing. But this is multiple horsepower. this will stand up to a 1 horse or a 2 horse or whatever motor. So these would be used in commercial. To go kind of the other way, I've got this little silly thing. This is actually, I don't think it says it on it, this is actually a 3L belt. And real small. It is 3/8 of an inch wide. So it's very small belt. And the last type of belt I wanted to show to you, this is also a 4L 420, means 42/8, so it's a fractional horsepower, but it's a cogged belt. You can see, let me get this in here, you can see these things got cogs in them. This belt is actually an energy efficient belt, because when it comes around the pulley, rather than compressing the rubber, it simply moves the pieces closer together. Supposedly, these are supposed to be energy saving belts. In fact, one year we spent the entire year going around to commercial buildings and replacing these belts, their standard belts, with these belts. Whether they made a lot of difference, I don't know. But it seems to me like these would actually work. Okay. We find a belt on a machine. How do we tell if it's any good? Well, if I took this belt and went like that, you'd see there's a crack there. You turn these things inside out and they'll tell you their tail. This one, it's not too bad, but that one cracks enough to get me to pitch this one in the garbage. I think we had another one that had a problem here. Do not be shy about turning these belts inside out. That's part of your job when you're doing maintenance. Like this one here, you can see if we can get that to where it's a little easier to see. You can see that one's got cracks in it. They're not real bad, but I think it's time to get rid of this belt. So pull those belts off, flip them around, check the pulleys, and if they're okay, put them back in. If they're not, you know, whatever. We've had companies that required us to change belts every year, and you know, it's up to them if they want to pay for it. I thought some of those belts are in pretty good shape, but that's what they wanted, and that's what they got. I ended up with a whole bunch of belts sitting in my shop from that are in pretty good shape. So anyway, that's how these belts work, how they should be troubleshot, replaced. Remember, do not replace an A belt with a 4L, because it will not hold up. It'll run for a few months sometimes, and then it'll fail. That's all I can think of right now on belts. We'll talk about tensioning these things on another video.